The KGB officers could barely contain their excitement as they examined the intelligence goldmine that had literally fallen from the sky near Sverdlovsk. For 4 years, these mysterious American aircraft had crossed Soviet airspace with impunity, photographing their most classified military installations at altitudes no Soviet fighter could reach. Now, for the first time, they had captured not just wreckage, but a living pilot. Francis Gary Powers represented the ultimate intelligence breakthrough. As the pilot of Mission 41054, he possessed intimate knowledge of the CIA's most classified reconnaissance program, Operation Grand Slam. This was his 24th mission over Soviet territory since U-2 flights began in 1956, making him a walking encyclopedia of American spy operations. The Soviets knew they had never captured anyone with such comprehensive access to CIA operational procedures, flight routes, and classified targets. The recovered U-2 wreckage revealed technological treasures beyond their wildest expectations. Advanced high-resolution cameras capable of photographing individual vehicles from 70,000 feet lay scattered across the crash site. Navigation equipment showed detailed flight maps marking Soviet missile installations at Sverdlovsk and Plesetsk, sites so secret that even most Soviet military personnel had no knowledge of their existence. The aircraft's sophisticated instruments represented years of American technological advancement, now spread before Soviet engineers like an open textbook. Intelligence officers catalogued each piece of recovered equipment with growing amazement. The U-2's range of 2,200 miles meant Powers had detailed knowledge of CIA operations spanning from Pakistan to Norway. His survival gear included escape maps showing safe houses and extraction points across Eastern Europe. Most tantalizing of all, they discovered classified documents detailing American intelligence targets throughout the Soviet Union. Colonel Ivan Serov, head of the KGB, personally reviewed the preliminary reports from Sverdlovsk. Powers represented more than just a captured pilot. He was a direct window into the Pentagon's most classified military assessments of Soviet capabilities. Every previous U-2 mission had returned with photographs of Soviet military installations, industrial facilities, and strategic weapon systems. Powers had participated in creating America's complete intelligence picture of Soviet military strength. The interrogation team prepared their strategy with confidence built on decades of experience breaking Western prisoners. They possessed physical evidence that made denial impossible, psychological techniques proven effective against American personnel, and most importantly, months of time to extract every detail from Powers' memory. The KGB was certain that within weeks they would possess complete operational details of the CIA's most successful espionage program. What could possibly go wrong with such an obviously cooperative prisoner? The armored transport carrying Francis Gary Powers rumbled through Moscow's streets toward the most feared address in the Soviet Union, Lubyanka Prison, headquarters of the KGB. The massive stone fortress had broken countless prisoners over 4 decades, and KGB Colonel Roman Rudenko personally supervised Powers' transfer. This American pilot represented their most valuable intelligence asset since the Cold War began, and they would extract every classified detail using methods perfected through years of experience. Powers was stripped of his flight suit and issued prison clothes deliberately designed to demoralize: oversized pants without a belt, shoes without laces, a shabby jacket that hung loosely on his frame. The KGB understood that physical discomfort was merely the foundation for psychological manipulation. They confiscated his personal effects but carefully catalogued each item as future interrogation tools: his Department of Defense identification card, detailed flight maps, Russian currency, gold francs, and the silenced pistol that proved his espionage mission. The interrogation chamber itself was a masterpiece of psychological design. Unlike the cramped cells prisoners expected, the room was spacious and well lit, creating an atmosphere of clinical efficiency rather than crude intimidation. A long polished table dominated the space, with Powers seated alone at one end while multiple KGB officers positioned themselves strategically around him. The setup was calculated to make him feel isolated and outnumbered while maintaining a veneer of civilized questioning. KGB interrogators brought decades of proven expertise to Powers' case. They had successfully broken American soldiers captured during the Korean War, extracted confessions from countless Western intelligence operatives, and refined psychological pressure techniques that rarely failed. Their methods combined prolonged isolation, confrontation with irrefutable evidence, exploitation of prisoner weaknesses, and gradual erosion of mental resistance. Most prisoners cracked within weeks when faced with KGB persistence and sophistication. The interrogation schedule demonstrated Soviet commitment to extracting maximum intelligence. 11 hours daily, 7 days weekly. an exhausting regimen designed to wear down even the strongest resistance. Fresh interrogators would rotate in shifts while Powers faced continuous questioning, preventing him from building psychological defenses or maintaining consistent responses. The KGB had learned that mental fatigue was more effective than physical torture for extracting detailed technical information. Soviet confidence was built on an impressive track record of intelligence successes. They had turned numerous CIA operatives, extracted detailed information about American military capabilities from captured personnel, and successfully penetrated Western intelligence services through psychological manipulation. Powers represented their greatest opportunity yet. A pilot with intimate knowledge of America's most classified reconnaissance program, caught with undeniable evidence of espionage activities. The physical evidence recovered from the U-2 crash provided powerful leverage for interrogation. KGB officers had assembled every piece of wreckage, every classified document, every piece of equipment that proved Powers' true mission. They would confront him systematically with each item, making denial impossible while building psychological pressure through accumulated evidence. The strategy had never failed against previous American prisoners. Colonel Rudenko reviewed the interrogation plan with satisfaction. They possessed overwhelming physical evidence, psychological expertise proven against Western operatives, unlimited time to break Powers' resistance, and complete control over his environment. The combination was irresistible. No American pilot had ever withstood KGB interrogation methods when backed by such comprehensive evidence. The stage was perfectly set for extracting every CIA secret Powers possessed. What could possibly go wrong when they confronted him with irrefutable proof of his espionage mission? The interrogation began with calculated politeness that caught Powers off guard. KGB Major Alexander Pavlov entered the chamber carrying a leather briefcase and wearing the expression of a man conducting routine business. He offered Powers cigarettes and tea, speaking in precise English learned during years of intelligence training. The courteous approach was designed to encourage cooperation before applying pressure, a technique that had proven effective with countless Western prisoners. Powers stuck to his prepared cover story with determination that initially impressed his interrogators. He insisted he was a civilian pilot conducting weather research for NASA, claiming his U-2 had strayed off course during a routine meteorological mission from Turkey to Norway. The story was carefully crafted by CIA psychological specialists who understood that maintaining any deception, even temporarily, could provide crucial time for extraction operations or diplomatic intervention. Major Pavlov allowed Powers to maintain his fiction for exactly 47 minutes before producing the first piece of devastating evidence. From his briefcase came Powers' Department of Defense identification card, recovered intact from the wreckage near Sverdlovsk. The laminated card clearly identified Powers as a CIA employee with top-secret clearance, making his weather research claim instantly impossible to maintain. The confrontation with physical evidence created the first crack in Powers' resistance. Faced with irrefutable proof of his intelligence affiliation, he abandoned the weather research story, but attempted a new deception. Powers now claimed he was conducting a single unauthorized reconnaissance mission, acting without official approval from Washington. This revised story was designed to limit diplomatic damage while protecting operational details about the broader U-2 program. Soviet interrogators were encouraged by this apparent breakthrough. Powers had moved from complete denial to partial admission within the first session, a progression that typically indicated full cooperation would follow shortly. They possessed overwhelming evidence that could counter any deception Powers attempted. Detailed flight maps showing Soviet military installations, high-resolution cameras designed specifically for espionage, classified navigation equipment, and Russian currency provided for emergency situations. The KGB produced each piece of evidence systematically, watching Powers' responses for signs of complete psychological surrender. They displayed aerial photographs recovered from his aircraft showing Soviet missile sites at Sverdlovsk and Plesetsk, images that could only have been taken during deliberate espionage missions. The photographs proved Powers had extensive knowledge of classified Soviet military installations and CIA intelligence requirements. Powers revealed basic mission details while maintaining resistance to deeper questioning. He admitted flying reconnaissance missions but refused to specify operational altitudes, camera capabilities, or previous mission targets. This selective cooperation frustrated Soviet interrogators who expected complete confession once their evidence made denial impossible. Every previous American prisoner had provided full details after being confronted with comparable proof. Major Pavlov concluded the first session confident that complete breakthrough was imminent. Powers had already abandoned 2 cover stories when faced with evidence, indicating his psychological defenses were crumbling under pressure. The KGB possessed months of time and overwhelming proof of espionage activities, combination that had never failed to extract complete intelligence from Western operatives. What could possibly prevent Powers from revealing everything when they systematically destroyed each remaining deception? The KGB's frustration mounted as weeks of intensive interrogation failed to produce the comprehensive intelligence breakthrough they had anticipated. Powers continued providing selective cooperation while maintaining stubborn resistance to crucial operational details. Major Pavlov escalated the psychological pressure campaign, implementing increasingly sophisticated techniques designed to shatter the American pilot's mental defenses completely. The interrogation schedule intensified to a grueling marathon of mental endurance. 11 hours daily, 7 days weekly, with fresh KGB officers rotating in shifts while Powers faced continuous questioning without respite. The exhausting regimen was calculated to prevent him from maintaining consistent responses or building psychological defenses against their probing. Sleep deprivation became a weapon as interrogators deliberately disrupted his rest periods with unexpected sessions and cell searches. Soviet interrogators transported Powers to the crash site near Sverdlovsk, confronting him systematically with every piece of recovered U-2 wreckage. They displayed twisted metal fragments, sophisticated camera equipment, classified navigation instruments, and rolls of exposed film showing Soviet military installations. Each piece of evidence was presented as proof of his espionage activities while demanding detailed explanations of operational procedures, technical capabilities, and mission parameters. Powers revealed basic mission acknowledgements but maintained disciplined silence about classified technical specifications. He admitted conducting reconnaissance flights but refused to specify the U-2's actual operational ceiling of 85,000 feet, consistently understating altitude capabilities by claiming maximum performance was only 68,000 feet. Camera resolution details, intelligence collection procedures, and previous mission targets remained locked behind his military training despite mounting pressure. The KGB introduced death penalty threats as psychological leverage to break his remaining resistance. Soviet law prescribed execution for espionage activities, and interrogators emphasized that Powers faced potential capital punishment unless he demonstrated complete cooperation. They prepared detailed charges under Article 2 of the Soviet law on criminal responsibility for crimes against the state, making his legal situation appear hopeless without full confession. Legal preparations for a show trial added another layer of psychological pressure. Soviet prosecutors assembled evidence for public proceedings designed to extract maximum propaganda value from Powers' capture while pressuring him toward complete intelligence disclosure. The trial would demonstrate Soviet capability to capture and prosecute American spies while providing a platform for extracting detailed confessions under international scrutiny. Powers' resistance frustrated KGB expectations based on decades of successful interrogations. Previous American prisoners had provided comprehensive intelligence after facing similar evidence and pressure campaigns. His selective cooperation, admitting espionage while protecting operational details, represented an unexpected form of resistance that challenged their proven methodologies. The interrogation produced a voluntary confession expressing regret for his actions, but Powers carefully limited admissions to information already compromised by aircraft recovery. He apologized for violating Soviet airspace while maintaining silence about CIA operational procedures, other pilot identities, and technical capabilities that remained classified despite months of intensive questioning. How could an American pilot withstand psychological pressure techniques that had broken countless previous prisoners when confronted with overwhelming evidence of espionage activities? Colonel Rudenko stared at the interrogation transcripts with growing disbelief as summer turned toward autumn. 3 months of intensive questioning had failed to extract the comprehensive intelligence breakthrough the KGB had confidently expected from their prize American prisoner. Powers continued demonstrating an unexpected form of resistance that challenged every proven Soviet technique: selective cooperation combined with disciplined silence about crucial operational details. The mounting evidence of interrogation failure became impossible to ignore. Powers had never revealed the U-2's actual operational ceiling of 85,000 feet, consistently claiming maximum altitude was only 68,000 feet despite confrontation with technical evidence proving otherwise. Camera resolution specifications, intelligence collection procedures, targeting priorities and mission planning details remained locked behind his military training despite months of psychological pressure. Most frustrating for Soviet interrogators was Powers' refusal to identify other CIA personnel involved in U-2 operations. He provided only one contact with the pseudonym Collins while protecting the identities of fellow pilots, ground crew, intelligence officers, and operational commanders. The KGB possessed a living encyclopedia of CIA reconnaissance operations, yet Powers revealed only information already compromised by aircraft wreckage recovery. The realization struck Soviet officials that traditional interrogation methods were failing against American military discipline. Powers had withstood psychological pressure campaigns that had successfully broken countless previous Western prisoners when confronted with comparable evidence. His selective cooperation, admitting espionage while protecting classified details, represented a form of resistance their techniques couldn't overcome. KGB leadership faced an uncomfortable truth. They had captured the ultimate intelligence prize but couldn't extract its contents. Powers possessed intimate knowledge of America's most classified reconnaissance program. Yet months of expert interrogation had produced minimal actionable intelligence. Their prisoner had effectively neutralized the intelligence value of his own capture through disciplined resistance. The decision to proceed with a public trial reflected Soviet admission that interrogation had failed to achieve intelligence objectives. Rather than continuing futile extraction attempts, they would maximize propaganda value from Powers' capture. The show trial would demonstrate Soviet capability to prosecute American spies while deflecting attention from their inability to break him completely. Trial preparations revealed the extent of Soviet frustration with Powers' continued resistance. Instead of extracting comprehensive CIA secrets as originally planned, they would present carefully scripted proceedings designed for maximum international impact. The legal process became a face-saving measure after their interrogation expertise proved inadequate against military training. Powers had fundamentally altered the expected dynamic between Soviet interrogators and American prisoners. His resistance challenged KGB confidence in their psychological techniques while protecting the operational security of ongoing CIA programs. The agency's investment in military discipline training had proven more effective than Soviet expertise in breaking prisoner resistance. The trial date of August 17, 1960 represented Soviet acknowledgement that intelligence extraction had failed despite possessing overwhelming evidence and unlimited time for interrogation. How had an American pilot defeated the KGB's most sophisticated psychological pressure techniques when previous prisoners had revealed everything under identical circumstances? The trial of Francis Gary Powers that began on August 17, 1960, in Moscow's Hall of Columns, exposed the shocking extent of Soviet interrogation failure. What should have been a comprehensive intelligence bonanza had become an embarrassing demonstration of American military discipline defeating KGB expertise. After months of intensive questioning, the Soviets possessed minimal actionable intelligence despite capturing their most valuable American prisoner since World War II. The prosecution's case revealed the devastating gap between Soviet expectations and actual results. Roman Rudenko, serving as Procurator General, could present only basic mission details that Powers had selectively disclosed, information already compromised by aircraft wreckage recovery. The comprehensive CIA operational secrets they had confidently expected remained locked behind Powers' disciplined resistance to their most sophisticated psychological techniques. Powers had successfully protected the most critical classified information throughout months of relentless interrogation. The U-2's actual operational ceiling of 85,000 feet remained secret, with Powers consistently claiming maximum altitude was only 68,000 feet. Camera resolution specifications, intelligence collection procedures, targeting priorities, and mission planning details never emerged, despite confrontation with overwhelming physical evidence of his espionage activities. Most shocking to Soviet intelligence was Powers' complete protection of CIA personnel identities. After months of intensive questioning designed to extract comprehensive operational details, he had revealed only one contact using the pseudonym Collins, while protecting fellow pilots, ground crew, intelligence officers, and operational commanders. The living encyclopedia of CIA reconnaissance operations had effectively neutralized his own intelligence value through military discipline. The trial proceedings demonstrated Soviet admission that traditional interrogation methods had failed completely. Rather than presenting comprehensive CIA secrets extracted through KGB expertise, prosecutors relied heavily on physical evidence recovered from the crash site. The show trial became propaganda theater designed to salvage face from their interrogation failure rather than showcase intelligence breakthroughs. Soviet officials privately acknowledged the shocking reality that their prize prisoner had defeated their most proven psychological pressure techniques. Powers had withstood 11-hour daily interrogation sessions, confrontation with irrefutable evidence, death penalty threats, and months of isolation without revealing crucial operational secrets. His resistance challenged fundamental KGB assumptions about breaking American prisoners when supported by overwhelming evidence. The verdict of 10 years imprisonment, 3 in prison, 7 in labor camps, reflected Soviet frustration more than intelligence success. They possessed a captured CIA pilot who had admitted espionage but protected the operational security of ongoing American reconnaissance programs. The comprehensive intelligence breakthrough they had celebrated in May had evaporated under sustained interrogation efforts. Western press reports inadvertently provided more intelligence value than Power's forced confessions, with newspapers revealing technical details that Soviet interrogators couldn't extract directly. This ironic revelation highlighted the complete failure of their psychological pressure campaign against military training that prioritized operational security over personal survival. How had the KGB's most sophisticated interrogation techniques failed so completely against a single American pilot when they possessed unlimited time, overwhelming evidence, and decades of proven expertise in breaking Western prisoners? The final irony of the Francis Gary Powers affair emerged on February 10, 1962, when the Soviet Union exchanged their prize prisoner for KGB Colonel Rudolf Abel at Berlin's Glienicke Bridge. After 20 months of imprisonment, Powers returned to America carrying proof of the most shocking intelligence failure in KGB history: their complete inability to break American military discipline despite possessing every possible advantage for interrogation success. Powers initially faced harsh criticism from American media and intelligence critics who questioned why he hadn't activated his aircraft's self-destruct mechanism or used the CIA-issued suicide device. These critics fundamentally misunderstood the strategic value of his disciplined resistance throughout months of Soviet psychological pressure. His survival had actually protected far more classified information than his death would have achieved. The CIA's comprehensive debriefing revealed the stunning extent of Powers' successful intelligence protection. Director John McCone issued an official statement declaring that Mr. Powers lived up to the terms of his employment and instructions in connection with his mission and in his obligations as an American. The agency's investigation confirmed that Powers had revealed no critical operational details despite facing death penalty threats and sophisticated KGB interrogation techniques. A Senate Armed Services Committee hearing in March 1962 provided complete vindication of Powers' conduct under extreme pressure. Senator Leverett Saltonstall commended him as a courageous, fine young American citizen who lived up to your instructions and who did the best you could under very difficult circumstances. Senator Prescott Bush declared himself satisfied he has conducted himself in exemplary fashion and in accordance with the highest traditions of service to one's country. The strategic consequences of Soviet interrogation failure extended far beyond diplomatic embarrassment. Powers' resistance had protected the operational security of ongoing U-2 missions, allowing the program to continue with modifications until satellite reconnaissance became fully operational. His disciplined silence about technical capabilities, personnel identities, and operational procedures preserved CIA intelligence gathering effectiveness during a critical Cold War period. The incident accelerated American development of reconnaissance technologies that Soviet air defenses couldn't reach. Satellite surveillance programs expanded rapidly, while Lockheed's Skunk Works began developing the SR-71 Blackbird, capable of Mach 3+ speeds at 85,000+ feet altitude. These technological advances emerged partly because Powers had successfully protected existing U-2 operational details from Soviet analysis. Perhaps most shocking to Soviet intelligence was the realization that Western press reports had inadvertently provided more technical information than months of intensive interrogation. As one KGB major admitted during questioning, "There's no reason for you to withhold information. We'll find it out anyway. Your press will give it to us." This revelation highlighted their complete failure to extract classified details through psychological pressure. The Powers incident fundamentally changed Cold War intelligence operations by demonstrating that properly trained military personnel could resist even the most sophisticated interrogation techniques when supported by disciplined commitment to operational security. Soviet confidence in their psychological warfare capabilities never fully recovered from this shocking demonstration of American military training effectiveness over KGB expertise.